So today we're going to show you a little demonstration on how to install in-floor electric heating, more specifically how to terminate the thermostat, because the in-floor heating is pretty straightforward. You just follow the manufacturer's instructions, and the rest of this is something that I'm going to show you how to terminate and give you the goods and the bads and the rule of thumb as far as terminating the wires properly. Follow along. So we're going to install in-floor heating in this house here. So the first thing to look at is these thermostats have a line and a load side terminal connections. You're going to have a hot and a neutral or two hots depending on the actual device and what it's trying to switch. So knowing that, of course, you've got two ends of your power cable. So firstly, let's talk electrical safety. As you can see as I strip the wires here, this is the supply end. Always make sure the breaker is turned off and that it's safe to do this. So I'm just taking a little bit more insulation off here. First thing you got to remember, based on most codes, because this is an instrument that's basically installed in a washroom in this particular case, it actually requires to be supplied by a ground fault circuit interrupting circuit breaker. So make sure you look into your local codes, and definitely if it's subject to water or moisture, it should be fed by a ground fault circuit interrupter on your supply. Now you'll notice I'm curling it. I'm basically making a hook on the end of the wires. Yeah, you'll see a lot of instructions, and this is the right and the wrong way to do it. A lot of instructions, and a lot of these devices are designed to put a stripped wire straight into the termination and tighten down. That in itself is not necessarily the best practice. The best way is ultimately, and always will be, to curl it around the screw in a right hand, basically a clockwise direction, to make sure that when you tighten the screw, it tightens under the screw. Never twist the hook in the opposite direction of the screw. So I always hook mine in. It makes a positive, firm connection. So next, get a splice cap or a moret, whatever you want to call it, and you grab the green conductor from your in-floor heating element. It's your ground wire. And bond that, twist it together with your ground conductor that's coming from your supply cable that's inside the box. That ground should also be bonded inside the box around the screw inside to make sure everything's at that zero potential for maximum safety. Next, we have our power cables that are going down into the ground, basically down into our in-floor heating. And you'll notice one is marked and one isn't marked, and we've got basically our power identification and our neutral identification, because this particular stuff happens to be rated for 120 volts AC. So one will be neutral, one will be hot. Now you screw those on the load side of the thermostat. The hot and the neutral on the load side of the thermostat. Again, that's your power conductors that go down, that are running through all the elements in the in-floor heating elements themselves. Next, we also grab the conductor. This is basically your RTD or your sensor wire that's also embedded down in the ground conductors. You coil that up. We have excess slack here. In this case, we'll stuff it into the box. Do not trim any off. Basically, just push the rest in the box. Pull out the two tips. There's just two conductors. All that is a resistance feedback. That's going to get wired into the back of your thermostat as well. Next, find your sensor wire connections here. That's where you'll terminate that conductor. So next you'll need a tiny flat blade screwdriver to get in here and undo these screws. There's 2 of them. And that's where we'll terminate our sensor wires. There's 2 of the wires as well. Next we'll go to the panel. We'll test out the ground fault circuit interrupting breaker. Trip test works, reclose. Now, a couple key things to remember in all of this. Your supply conductors have to be able to provide the ampacity and the voltage rating of the device that you decide to install, both the thermostat and the in-floor heating. As well, the in-floor heating all has a typical rating, a load rating, ohms per foot, and make sure you have that covered. That's it.
So that's the safe way to install one of these in-floor heating devices here. The thermostat, the sensor, and the power wires. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Please subscribe, like, comment. Thanks, bye.